We're here with the NBA Nightcap. How's everybody doing today? I'm Nick, going to be hosting you guys today through our beautiful podcast we got lined up for you today. I'm joined, as always, with Lucas and Dave. This is the NBA Nightcap. Today we got something going on. I texted the guys. I said, "Who are 5 players that you would love to see on your team?" So we're gonna go through our lists, banter a little bit. I feel like. And then maybe talk a little bit about what's going on in the league. I thought it was a little too early to kind of like hit on the big trades and see, like, most people have only played a game, maybe 2 games. So see what we've been liking in the NBA. Talk about the Utah Jazz a little bit, and then we'll wrap it up from there. But of course, it's the NBA Nightcap. Go get yourself a drink. I've got mine right here. Nice cup, some rocks glasses, or rocks, ice. And I'm going to follow it up with some more tequila.
Oh my god.
That's the rest of the bottle. I'm not gonna drink it all, but What about you guys? Got anything going on?
I'm gonna guess Dave is drinking Bar Dog.
Fire dog.
Bird dog.
Oh.
Truthfully, I don't have any mixers at all.
Mixers? Do you have ice?
Yeah, I have ice. I don't like ice and just tequila though. I mean, I do have. I don't know. Yeah, it's just hold on nothing right now.
Oh my god, we gotta help this man out. Lucas,
I'm
pull
drinking
something
the
in.
rest of my doers. We're rocking a classic.
We're rocking the classic. All
I
right.
think I actually have doers. I'm gonna join you, Lucas.
There we go.
At some point.
That's
See me limping.
you like
When Lucas gets on his rant about the Suns or something, I'll have at least 10 minutes to go make myself a drink.
Oh, of course. All right, so Lucas was very confident, sent us his team, even though I wanted it to be a surprise. It's fine.
I didn't know it was supposed to be a surprise.
Now, how do you guys want to go about this? Do we want to do like one player at a time, or do we want to go through your whole list and kind of?
No, let's do.
I think whole list.
Oh, you want to do the whole list? I was gonna do we do
well,
point guards first, and then shooting guards, and then small forward.
All right, yeah. I mean, I just feel like my team it's just such
I,
a like
you know what? No.
perfect and like good team that's just gonna
Yeah.
fit
I-
together like a glove.
Let's-
guessing his whole team is just the Knicks.
Yeah.
Not 1 through 5, the Knicks.
It's just gonna be a bunch of like Thibault, Pat Beverly, just like guys like that. I'm dismantling.
So underrated. Paul George.
Paul George is great. He's had too much caffeine this morning, but he hasn't played in 4 games. So it's fine. All right.
Got underrated players.
Point guard. Lucas, lead it off.
I went with Brogdon. I think there had Malcolm Brogdon. I think at least 10 podcasts back, I had a Brogdon rant. I think he just fits any team, any situation. I don't
He's a
think
glove.
there's a single team in the league that would be like, I don't think his play style can fit my team's like coaching play style. I don't think like there isn't a spot he doesn't fit in. And for the quality of player he is, I don't think his contract is too exuberant. So that's how I did this whole list. Was I did quality of player, do they excel at their role, and then compare it to like how much they got paid. So Brogdon makes 20 mil a year. That seems like
that's like perfect for him.
He'll make the end of his contract. I think the last year is 2023. He's making 22.5 million. Like it's like roughly a fifth of your entire team's salary for starting point guard. That'll give you 21, 5 and 5 every night with great efficiency. I nothing wrong with Brogdon. I think he's super underrated because nobody talks about him.
He's just the Pacers syndrome almost, because he's not playing in a big market, but they just put up. I mean, their team's been weird this year since the Oladipo trade, but I like Brogdon. I don't hate it.
Hate it, Dave?
Oh, I love Brodog. He just fits everywhere, like you said. It's not super splashy on and stuff like that, but it's just what you're gonna get, and that's like what you want in a point guard.
Getting like your 18, 5 and 6. I actually don't know.
We all agreed.
It's starting off the podcast strong.
Yep.
No one's gonna agree with mine, and I already know that.
All right.
It's gonna be anger. Call me idiot.
Let's hear who
Let
you
you
got.
defend my guys. So I thought it was funny how Lucas said how we talked about Brogue Dog a couple weeks ago when we were doing like the point guard thing and stuff like this. This player was also mentioned on that
Yeah,
podcast.
we know who it is.
Dejounte Murray.
DeJounte Murray, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Sell me on him.
15 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists this year to go along with 1.5 steals and a great plus minus on the defensive side. He is probably the best. Yeah, he's probably the best point guard for on defense. And he has a super nice contract. Highest is 17 mil 4 years from now.
Did you just say he's the best point guard on defense?
Yeah.
Where does
That's
Ben Simmons fit in this whole thing?
I mean, Ben Simmons doesn't like. It's so hard to count Ben Simmons as a point guard because he is like that's. I mean, okay. All right, I'll take this. Dejounte Murray is the best traditional defensive point guard, who's not a 6'10" freak, who is a freak.
So is Magic Johnson considered a point guard? I was just thinking Mike Conley, but I think I might be overrating Mike Conley.
If it was like 2 years ago, Mike Conley would be my number 1 pick.
Yeah. I was actually trying to think of really good defensive point guards, and my list just went to Mike Conley, and then my brain was like, no, Curry sucks. Young sucks. Yeah. No, I like that.
Mhm.
On there.
I wouldn't hate DeJounte Murray on my team. I
I
just...
love Dejounte Murray.
Are you guys ready for my pick?
Yeah, let it rip.
Alright. This is a player... I look at this list, I was like, if these guys are on my team, I would just have so much fun with this. My point guard is TJ McConnell. Because I love him, and I think he's amazing, and he always is on, like, the bench unit's always going to be strong. I mean, maybe he's not my starter, but, you know, took some leeways with this.
Starter.
I never said starters.
Mm-hmm.
I just said players you'd want on your team.
All right.
So, you guys went with the starters role. I went and had my own fun. So, I mean, the guy's a steel machine. He puts up the funnest stat lines. He's scrappy. And I love watching him. I loved him on Philly. I hated that Philly lost him. I think they'd be so much better with TJ McConnell.
All right, TJ McConnell question. Would you rather have this version of TJ McConnell, who averages 1.8 steals and shoots 30% flat from 3, or would you rather take the Philly TJ McConnell, who shot 44% from 3 and had half the amount of steals?
I want this TJ McConnell. This one's really fun.
When
he's posting a triple double with steals, like I want that. He's fun.
Is he just the new Deladova?
I think he's
TJ McConnell is better than Deladova ever was.
I think so too, but I think they both play very similar.
I feel like, I mean, the problem is probably they're both white, so that's where my brain goes to make that comparison.
Good job, Bill Simmons.
He's got it like, what other point guards does he compare to? Like, I want to say like slow, like Corey Joseph, but he's better than Corey Joseph. But that's like the kind of other player compared to like a stable backup. Yeah, I mean every team would love
like
a TJ.
Yeah, he just takes control of the bench unit. He's like actually like a good sixth man leader, and I love him. I love watching him play, and just yeah.
Well, plot twist. Also, he's the only one out of the 3 point guards that hasn't gotten his extension yet. So, how much would you be willing to pay a TJ McConnell?
Your backup guard.
How much do you think he'll demand, and then how much are you willing to pay for it?
If this stint continues, I bet he gets like. It's so hard because either you're getting paid or you're getting paid nothing right now in the league. I mean,
I I think he gets paid nothing. Even though I love I really like TJ McConnell and I would love him on the Knicks. And like it's like super fun to root for that kind of player who's just like a super scrappy guy who you know is gonna play full court when they're down 30 points, like stuff like that. But I just feel like teams right now are just like, yeah, we don't care.
I think I was gonna say like in the 6 range.
6. I
Yeah,
think. I think he's going to demand like 12, 12 to
that was
13 this offseason.
that was my
I think
initial thought was around 12, and then I
I
talked
think he'll
myself out of it.
settle on I think he'll settle on a 3 or 30. I think I think he'll get like that Corey Joseph treatment.
Yeah,
And he'll be sent somewhere, be a permanent backup point guard for that franchise forever.
I was just thinking like if he would get something like because it would be hard to be like okay, we'll give him like a 2-year 24, or it'd be something weird where it's like it's a 3-year contract but it's front loaded. Like he'd get like 15 the first year and then it drops like 10 and then like set like it'd be drastic.
You can see that.
Well, I'm glad. This is
Yeah.
so civil off the bat. I like
I feel
this.
like the only thing though is if he's looking to be paid, like I could see a bad team throwing money at him, and but then I feel like he will not do good on that bad team because I feel like he is perfect on a good team. And like
Well,
even though the
yeah,
Pacers are like right at 500, like the Pacers are always a solid good team.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's kind of like I don't know if you listened to Bill's pod with Rasha, and Rasha was like, "Yeah, I'm perfect on a good team because of my skill set. I can drop 30 points, but it's like once every 4 or 5 games or something like that, and then I drop like 4 the next game. Like I don't have the skill set to do this. I thrive on a good team, so it's never like I think there's so many players in the league who are like, why do we always think this guy's good? And it's just like, well, everything around him is so bad. I think TJ McConnell definitely fills in one of those positions. Now, on to the shooting guard ish player. I have
oh
I have Terrence Ross out of the Orlando Magic. He for like that what was it 2 years ago, he was just high flying, hitting threes like crazy, and I thought they should have traded him then, but he obviously wasn't on like a contract. He was on a contract year, so he was killing it. But I dude just balls. He gets out there, hits his threes, does his shots. I just remember when everyone thought DeMar was or he was gonna be better than DeMar. That was a fun little segment in Raptors history that never happened. But what do you guys think of my Terrence Ross love?
um the first thing that comes to mind is that the Celtics maybe should have traded for Terrence Ross instead of Fournier.
That's
Yeah,
a debate.
I like if you had to pick one or the other, which I feel like I'd rather have Terrence Ross.
I'd rather have him, but I think he has like another year left, and I think they just wanted something quick,
Maybe.
so they didn't have to pay in.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I'm just pulling this out of nowhere, but I feel like I vaguely remember some sort of drama with Terrence Ross, like having his next spot being like a big contract. So I'm looking at it right now. I mean, if they trade for him, they'd still have 2 years left. So it'd be the beginning of the 2023 season, he'd be gone.
Yeah,
He can pick his new team, but he wants like one of those big ass contracts. And I think if I had to be the Celtics, I think they would end up having to pay Ross way too much, and I think they can get a discount on Fournier if that
yeah.
makes sense.
How old
But
is Terrence Ross?
29.
Yeah, he's one of those players where you can tell me he's like 25 or 32, and I'd be like, yeah, sounds about right.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Lucas. We'll keep the little
Me,
circle triangle of love going.
I picked Dylan Brooks from
Okay.
the Memphis Grizzlies.
It's not the other
He's
Brooks, right?
It's not the other Brooks,
Oh, okay.
not Marshawn. We fixed that problem. But Brooks kind of feels right now way too undervalued. Like if you I'm trying to think like I guess he doesn't fit in every team.
Right.
But if you were like not a top three team in the league, top three in the conference, and you needed a guard. Like Dylan Brooks puts up 16 a night. Like this year he is slumping, but last year he was crazy efficient from three. He's
Yeah,
getting paid
he's
like
not having a good
shooting.
3 year, right?
No, I think he's shooting around like 32 or something like that percent. But last year he was shooting 40 and above. Um, but his contract is kind of like Terrence Ross's. It's 11 mil a year, but I think he
Yeah.
has another year attached to it. So you would have, say, you counted this season, you'd have 4 years of Dylan Brooks. You have 4 years of your starting shooting guard averaging 16. Him shooting, let's just say it was last year, 40% a night from three. It almost feels like Fournier of last year. And you're like, you could just plug Fournier into every team last year and it'd be totally fine. That's how I kind of feel with Dylan Brooks. He's still super crazy young. So it's like you're almost going to, at the tail end of this contract, you're going to get prime,
Dylan Brooks.
27, 28, 29-year-old Dylan Brooks at 12 mil a year. And it's almost like that's kind of stupid. You will have to pay him. Like he will
Yeah.
get like eventually
Mhm.
he'll get paid like 25, but it's like at that point it'll be worth it because he's basically from his production now front loaded that entire 25 mil contract coming up. So I like Dylan Brooks. It's a lot. It's all
A
about
lot.
money.
I was almost gonna text you guys and just be like, I think I'm just gonna take the Memphis Grizzlies because they have so many young players who aren't making that much money and are just fun. It's like their problem right now. It's like they're in the actual like state where teams have all these draft picks and they kind of whiff on some. Like so many of their picks have just been good, and it's just like, okay, well we can't pay everyone, so we're now gonna have to start choosing. So I think they're just playing people to see if they're worth anything to maybe
And
move this offseason.
with shooting guards, I feel like it was like super hard because it was either like they're superstars
Mm-hmm.
or they're not good kind
Or
of
the
thing.
Really
Like
is a
there was
huge
like a
swing.
couple, yeah. I feel like the shooting guards out of all the positions was like the biggest swing.
and it's like you don't know if they're like actually a shooting guard or if they're small forward and they're just playing the two. Like that's why I'm like Ross, I'd say is probably a three, but I was like, I'll slide him over. It's okay.
Yeah, it's becoming like a more of like a mesh position. Like
Yeah,
unless you have a true shooting guard, I think I think you have to basically replicate like a 3 and D guy.
yeah,
Like you'd always
Mm.
kind of want that 3 and D guy to be a small forward or power forward now, but it almost seems like there aren't enough quality twos that you almost make 2 through 4 a 3 and D guy, and then
Yep.
you have a point guard and center as your playmakers. So it's weird.
I mean, if that's what the Nuggets did,
Nuggets
kind of
kind of did
thing.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. So it's my turn now.
go for it.
All right. I was going back and forth.
It's gonna be Derek
I
White.
decided to go with Karis LeVert.
Oh, okay.
Okay, okay.
What were you laughing about right there, Nick?
Him saying Derek White.
I thought you were gonna do the whole Spurs now.
Oh no, no, no,
I
Leave out
was,
Demar.
no. I mean, I think Levert, and it's hard because as a fan who's watched a team that is really bad for a long time, I just love the Big P potential,
Mm-hmm.
and I just still feel like Karis LeVert has like all the potential in the world still, even though he is 26 now.
I didn't catch that phrase though. Can you say what you love again?
Huh?
You said you love the Big P.
Potential.
Oh, okay.
uh,
All right. Just making sure
you love
I
that
heard
big
that
P.
correctly.
um, but averaging 16. Oh, it's close. It's pretty much 17. It's 0.9 on 41%. He's definitely a chucker, but for a shooting guard, I kind of want a chucker because like uh, in the back of my mind, a shooting guard shoots. Like I know it's like stupid, but like that's what I think of as like as the two position is to go and just get buckets. And some nights you'll drop 35 and shoot like 75%. And then other nights, you'll drop 21, 20 and shoot like 35%.
Yeah. No, I get that. Like, I think teams need play because like the whole point is you need ball movement and you need penetration and then you need to be able to find the open shooter. And you won't get that unless you have a guy like Levert that's able to take advantage of like crashing in, slashing in. Like you don't have players like Levert, whether they're like super efficient or like average. Like you still
Yeah.
need that role of that like
Yeah.
ultra aggressive guy. I like Levert.
I
Yeah,
love,
and then
love that
he's
guy.
his contract is like it's not super cheap, but it's pretty good contract, and it's like almost 100% because he had all those injuries at the beginning of his year. So
Mm-hmm.
he just kind of signed the extension with the Nets before going into free agency. So up until 2023, it's 16, 17, and 18.
He's just such like Karis LeVert is such a like almost like a mystery box to me. So every time I watch him, I'm like, ah, there's a Karis LeVert I see. I like this. I like this. And then the next night, I'm like, yo, man, it's not going tonight. Can we start doing something else? I would love to have him on my team though. Just like that's why I don't understand why the Rockets just gave him up. And
For
like
literally nothing.
I'm so happy to be on that side of wow, this trade sucked that you didn't get any of the young players, but it's all right.
Before we go on from that though, have you seen the spin zone? And it has to do with JJ Redick that the Rockets went and didn't get as much to have to make good on players, so that in the future players will have trust and agents will have trust in the Houston thing, and it won't be like a JJ Redick situation where JJ is bashing the front office of
I
New Orleans. I'm like, wait, what?
I think, and I like JJ, but the more I've thought about this, he's just kind of being a salty little bitch.
His thing is weird too. Like his argument of they
He,
didn't send me to a good situation. I'm like Dallas is like player wise,
you're gonna
defending wise,
score. No
they're
one's
not
gonna guard you.
getting
Like
the playing time.
I mean, I get it because like his whole thing was he wanted to be in this like New York City because his family's still there because of COVID, and they're not, I guess, in New Orleans, where they were gonna fly back and forth and stuff, and because
Oh
so,
yeah, because they they love Brooklyn. He is the ultimate Brooklyn hipster.
but I mean, you're an NBA player. They could have just like let you go home if you wanted to go home, and they probably would have done that and just been like, all right, if you, but they traded you somewhere. They got a draft pick. Like you weren't gonna go to Brooklyn. I don't think Brooklyn was gonna give up anything.
No.
They got LaMarcus, and LaMarcus. Oh, I don't know if you guys saw this. The Hornets are at 65 points at the end of the third.
Oof.
The Nets have 92.
You,
Almost like LaMarcus Aldridge is good still.
you think like teams get a little like shocked that they're given so many like open looks playing the Nets that they're like, we don't normally play against defenses like this, so they just like get stage fright because I really don't think the Nets are that good of a defensive team.
They're average right now. They're like I think the last time I checked was they're 19th or something.
It's
But the
just
difference between like 19th and like 12 is like a point or something. Like nothing huge.
Yeah, and in
before
all
we
the games I've watched of the Nets, it's like the first quarter, they're like the best. They're like the bad boys, Detroit. They're like super playing hard, everything else. And then as the game goes on, the defense just goes way down.
so I one last thing about Levert. Last year, the Levert thing was Levert is basically Andrew Wiggins on a significantly better contract. So, contract removed, would you rather have Andrew Wiggins or Levert? Because looking at the stats from last year,
Hold on.
I bet they're
it's
very similar.
yes, they're pretty much the same guy too. They're both like 6'6". They're both wings. They could argue as a 2 guard and 3 guard. I don't know.
Money aside,
Money aside,
give me
It's so hard to do
Wiggins.
the money stuff.
take Wiggins.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I am like on the fence.
I'm on the
It's
fence
close
too.
enough where it's like I could like if they were both making the same amount of money, I it would be so hard.
I think the reason I go, I want to. I think it's so close because of that last bubble game for Levert. I think that last game showed you that the dude can like elevate his game to a certain level, and it's not just based on total athleticism, and like pre-draft hype still with Wiggins. I think like that proved Levert can drop, or he had the ability to drop
It's
45 in an important game. So like
you're
I don't know. It's
you're
tough
not.
right now. Levert's not playing well at all. So it'd be hard for me to say right now Levert. I would have to take Wiggins because Levert's
It's just like looking at their career stats. It is like Wiggins and Levert are the same person.
one just gets paid.
I just think,
Twice as much.
yeah, I'd still probably take Wiggins. That trade in retrospect is like the Warriors just robbed them.
Yeah.
Just robbed
Yeah.
them. Now, you know what, Dave? We'll let you start off with your. No, let's go to Lucas. Lucas, take your small forward out.
Oh, why
I'm
you gotta
sorry.
tease me like that?
I'll
So,
I'll go last.
so my small forward is Bojan Bogdanovic, not to be confused with the
Bojan.
other one, Bojan. Sorry about that. The Utah boy. Um, I think he's like the perfect basketball player. Like if you ever wanted to create like a traditional guy, he's just kind of perfect at the three, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a point in his game that he does anything wrong. It feels like this year he's a little bit like lacking, but I think the team is more balanced overall. Like
Yeah.
the entire team stats are lower. I think Mitchell has kind of turned it on since the All Star break, but I still think his stats are kind of
They're
on
just.
par for the rest of his career. Um,
I mean,
but he can't do anything wrong. He's
no.
3 and D. He can play the 2, 3, stretch 4. He's
I think
perfect.
he's perfect at the stretch four. Just the
Yeah,
perfect play. It's like when we used to play 2K and I would just draft Gallinari every single time. And I was like,
which
cool.
is now the standard. Like we were doing today's NBA in 2011. Like it's just how we would play it. Rudy Gay at the 4,
It's like, why wouldn't I want a guy just to
Melo at the 4.
Melo
space
at the
out?
4.
It
Yeah,
was
just
space it
space it
out.
out. Jack some threes. That's what I do in 2K now.
Yeah.
I only pick teams with good small power forwards.
Yeah, other than that, it's horrible. And we also used to put Giannis as the power point guard too, though. So
That was
we were ahead of our time there.
yeah. Yep.
I love Bojan. Freaking awesome. I wish he was on my team. I'm glad he's on a good team now. He always kills the Bucks. It's just there is really
He's
nothing wrong with him.
really cheap too. Like if you're gonna put this guy as your starting small forward, he gets paid like 17 a year,
Does
which
he
is
really?
really nothing. Like you can easily fill out the rest of your team if I mean with the Jazz is a perfect example, right? Like I would say he's probably their second option or should be their second option. But like at that pay level, he could be your fourth option, right? Like third or fourth, probably fourth option. And if he is your fourth option, I think that's just like a championship team. Like I
How
really do.
does how does he only average like 14 a game?
That's the thing. I think Conley was kind of really bad last year, right?
Yeah, so he had to take over the.
He was really bad.
Yeah, so I think he took over a lot of. He took over when Conley was bad, and then put up like really great numbers. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think this year is just like a slumping year, which is crazy because the
Oh, I
Jazz are the
guess.
number 1 seed. So
Well,
and I just don't.
he's playing 3 less minutes. So he's taking like 3 less shots a game. So that's pretty much.
Oh yeah, well the shots per game that's kind of huge. So
Yeah, he's finessing us. Playoffs come. Playoff Bogdanovich is coming out
they're gonna shrink that lineup. He's gonna shrink
so
that lineup.
hard. I still I'm still doubting them, but I hope the best for the Utah fans. Dave, who do you have at your small forward?
So this is where you guys are gonna start laughing at me.
I'm ready.
Hold on.
You knew it was coming at some point. You knew the defense just had to matter the most.
You have to do this
For
again.
small forward, we're going with Lou Dort.
Oh God. I thought you were gonna go Williams, and I was about to be like, can we talk for a second?
Do you need to check yourself into the hospital? Are you having a stroke right now?
You think that Lou Williams plays defense? No, we're going with Lou Dort. He is 3-and-D, who is not the best 3-point shooter, but he is amazing on defense.
He
And
he's something.
he
I
averages
like
12, 3-and-1 on 38% from shooting, 32 from 3. But his defense is insane. If it's so I the defensive player award is just I feel like they don't actually give it like not even defensive player, but like defensive first team and stuff. I feel like you have to be on a good team in order to go and get it. You know what I mean?
oh
I
yeah.
feel like a team like the Thunder who win games that they shouldn't win and are way above everyone's expectations, even though they suck this year, but they were supposed to suck way more.
Mhm.
Like Lou Dort is by far the best defensive player on that team, and he's probably one of the best top 5 forwards for defense.
You're gonna if you were gonna leave me at top 5 forwards, I was about to rage. But
No,
then
come on now.
defense. Okay, so my complaint with this pick is I can't complain really about I can't complain about his pay because he gets paid jack
one
Nothing.
point like 4 million.
he gets paid nothing, so that's great. Backup small forward, I think is okay, but I feel like the type of player is like heavy focus on defense. He's had like
He's
a
had
lot of
amazing
games.
games.
He's
Yeah,
had some good games, but he also is shooting like garbage.
he's
So,
not a good shooter. I'll be the first to admit that.
but
And
I think that we've seen this type of guy way too many times, and we love him, we love him, we love him, and then he gets paid, and it almost like any level of pay right now for Dort, like that he can demand,
Hmm.
will will feel like overkill, and the team that takes him from the Thunder are going to regret it for 3 years, right? Like that's to him.
Yeah.
I feel like his
Hmm.
career feels a lot like Jonathan Simmons on the Spurs. Remember that guy?
Oh, that guy
He
was
was like
supposed to be like
that
the.
guy. Yeah, he was supposed to be like um he was like a worse version of Josh Richardson. Like, oh, I'm the shooting guard that can
yeah,
kind
Mhm.
of do a little bit of everything, and I'm known for my above average defense. But then as soon as
he left the Spurs
the
system.
yeah, as soon as the Magic paid him like I don't even know what it was. I think it was like 3 years, like 32. He got like 8 mil a year or whatever. He
Mhm.
got paid like 8 mil a year, and then instantly he just did exactly what he did on the Spurs, and it was like, well, that's not $8 million a year production. Like you were supposed to take a leap from being
Yeah.
paid. I don't think
Mhm.
Dort, even though he's super young, even though like I just don't think he has enough of any sort of like repertoire to do anything more than being like a giant energy ball
He
at the
it's the same thing as he needs to play on playoff teams for his entire
Yeah.
career to look good.
Yep.
And it's the Andre Robersons, it's the Thabo Cephalosas, it's just these guys who are like just decent enough from three that they're gonna like keep you almost honest. And he did have some games last year in that, especially in the playoff bubble. Um, they almost took out
they
the
almost took out the
Rockets.
Rockets. Like
Yeah.
you can't not give him credit, and that's my
Yeah,
thing. Is like me saying that entire thing. At the end of it, I don't even like my full argument
I
completely
don't even
because of
like
how well
myself.
because of how well he played against Harden. So it's like,
And that's
I,
the thing is the bubble Dort what he actually is, where he had like CP3 and stuff like he had a good player around him and it was a good team around him, or is it this chucker who's just really good on defense, but as soon as you go and you pay him, it's going to be a huge regret.
mhm.
It would almost be nice if you could go and like take players and like soccer does this, right, Nick, where you rent them out.
Yep, you
I'm gonna
lease
kill
players and they
Brandon.
get paid.
um, it would be fun to see like a player like Dort and a player like Frankie Smokes, for example, on really really good teams and have him play like 15 to 18 minutes, and it's just like lockdown D, and then it's like, holy crap, this guy's amazing on this team.
Yeah.
I think it's
I
the.
feel like if oh,
Oh no, go
I was
ahead.
gonna
Go
say
ahead.
just quickly though is I just feel like players like that don't get a shot because they go from like a super bad team to then like okay they get paid like the minimum or whatever for their next contract on another bad team, and then before you know it they're out of the league. Was like, well, what if that player just had like a year or two in a good system?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's definitely what I think of. I kind of see Lou Dort and Thibault in the same exact scenario. They both can't shoot the ball really. Like you'll turn it on one day and they're like 2 for 4 from three or 4 for 5 from three, and you're like, whoa. But then you look at the box scores for the next 5 games, they're like 1 for 6 or 1 for 4, and there's just like, okay, like that's the Lou Dort and Thibault. Like the
Mm.
I know Dave, you're a huge defense fan, but if you literally can't create any sort of offense, you're left behind. You will be like you might get picked up for a couple million and just be like a bench player. Like, hey, we're throwing you in the game. You have to guard Kawhi. I mean, like, yeah, that might be the problem is they had to guard like the Kawhis, the LeBrons, like all these guys, and they're putting all their effort into defense. That like they get the ball and their arms are shaking because they're so tired. I like Lou Dort. He wasn't my small forward tweener player. Um, Lucas likes this guy though.
Ooh.
It's
He's gonna do
Jay
it.
Crowder.
Oh.
I thought you were gonna go Mikal Bridges.
Wow.
No. I went like almost full role player kind of route.
I
You
like
know,
it.
the Lakers starting five is like impenetrable. Like no one in the league is better than our starting five, so it's like hard to replace anyone. But yeah, Jay Crowder, other than his stint in what was his bad stint? Was it Cleveland? No, was it Cleveland?
Yeah,
No.
Cleveland was
Yes,
bad.
it was
Yeah.
Cleveland. It was Cleveland and Dallas. 'Cause Dallas is where he
Dallas
got
was
drafted
bad.
to.
Yeah. But then ever since, like when he was on Utah, amazing. When he was in Miami,
Boston.
amazing. Boston, amazing. Phoenix,
That's where his legend began of Jay
yeah,
Crowder.
amazing. He's just this like 3 to 4 who is a 3-and-D guy. Every time he's out there, you love. I've watched someone posted a clip on Twitter. I don't know who, and it was just like Jay Crowder off ball defense, and it was I just it was like a 4 minute video, and I just watched it, and I just like I forgot who I had, and I just deleted them, and I just put Jay Crowder in. I was like, this guy, I want this guy. But yeah, I mean, he'll have nights where he's 0 for 7 like the other day, but then he's just the consistent like 3 for 5 or 2 for 5. Just you trust him shooting, which
You
is
really
weird.
do. You love his form. So I've watched every Suns game, every game this year.
I'm the
Every
greatest
player
fan of all
ever.
time.
But the way he shoots is so much fun to watch because it's almost like pitch and catch. Like if he doesn't catch the ball in the same zone, he'll just it's like automatic. It's like Duncan Robinson. Like that's
Yeah,
just how he does it. Like he'll get it in his spot, and it really does feel like a pitcher playing catch with the catcher. It's just like he has this perfect like catapult shot to him. I love it. But yeah, he will have really bad nights. Um, and when he
but
goes for steals on defense, he punches. It's my favorite thing in the world where that's when he'll get like a foul call and the other guy will be like freaking out that he was just assaulted because Crowder, like when he misses the steal, he's
he
literally
punching.
punching the other player. But it's always like some younger guy that's like, why am I getting punched by Crowder? And then Crowder will just talk shit to him right to his face.
You
That's what the Suns
suck.
needed. I'm so happy we have Crowder. And I don't care. We paid him 3 years, 30. Like that feels like nothing to me. That feels like we got him for a steal.
It is a
Really does.
steal. I think we've talked about it before, but there's not enough of these like Jay Crowder contracts in the NBA anymore. It's like super max, huge contracts for your star players, and then everyone else is just getting paid dirt. And it's just like, I mean,
It's either
dirt.
it's either rookies or it's like G leaguers.
Yeah, and then everyone else is making 35, and there's not.
Mhm.
I mean, because what is it? You have to get up to like 80% of the salary to trade it. Doesn't have to be the full 100%, but it's like 80%. Yeah,
I
it's
think so.
it's really hard right now. That's why like a lot like Boston anytime they're like in trade talks is Marcus Smart because he makes like 11, and it's like the only thing they can trade, and it's I like more of these contracts, but I just love Jay Crowder. It's fun. He'd be a great backup on our team if LeBron didn't probably hate him.
I was gonna say, that's already happened once, and
Yeah, but
yeah.
that was like the worst Cavs team. It was like,
Just trying to have Crowder guard LeBron for a series in the playoffs. That's gonna be. They're gonna jaw at each other. I
Mhm.
want it. I
dude,
want the Lakers. I want Bama. I want everyone. Just throw the world at
I
me.
want UCLA. Give it to me. Um, Lucas's turn or Dave's turn?
I mean, it's whoever wants to go.
Let's go Dave.
We're doing power forwards, right?
Yeah, let's go
Yeah.
Dave. Dave, tell me your power forward because you just gave us an interesting one. I'm intrigued.
I went with the Swiss Army knife, the player that I feel like every single team wanted, and it's like I understand why you want him, but you guys are acting like he's like prime Tim Duncan or something out there. Robert Covington.
Ooh, okay, okay. It
I
feels.
just
Go ahead. Yeah, give your appeal.
oh okay. He's the 3-and-D player that like every GM is like if I could get a 3-and-D player, it would be him. He can switch from 1 to 5, like he shoots close to like 36-7% from 3, and we just that's the type of 3-and-D player we want, and I want him. I'm also
And
just like the NBA GMs who want him.
and I want him. He literally just shoots threes now, pretty much.
Yep.
Mhm.
I had to pull up his stats. I haven't seen anything on him in a while because it feels like he just like we were so excited for him going to Portland, and then it just seems like he disappeared off the map, like in like basketball talk realms. It was like he was so loved on he's exactly everything you just said, and I mean I would want him. Who wouldn't want him? I didn't realize how well he was shooting from three.
39% this year.
Yeah, that's kind of insane.
And the like I feel like Robert Covington is a player that you don't want like he shouldn't be talked about that much because he just does all the little things so well and he hits open threes. And I feel like it was kind of like NBA Twitter and people who follow the NBA, it was like first time like seeing him maybe, and that's kind of why he exploded. And he was, and I think another reason was because he was going to the Rockets and they're going to play him at center.
Yeah, it was just
And I think that was the big thing of why it like exploded talking about him.
his
I
yeah.
don't I don't have a gripe about this at all because I feel like Covington almost fits the Crowder role. He almost
Mm-hmm.
fits. He fits like the Bogdanovich role, except he's not as much as a like he's not a shot creator, but
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
does fit that mold of I can put him in any situation, and there's not a single team in the league that would be like that would turn down a Covington contract. I I think he's limited though, is my only thing, and I don't know if it's like a trade off. So tell me if I'm wrong. I
You're
think
wrong.
he's limited on offense though. Like I think he's really solidified himself this year and last year as primary like 3-and-D, and then I'm gonna just get garbage buckets when I can, right? Like I'll scrap
Mm-hmm.
with garbage buckets. Where I feel like similar players like Bogdanovich, he's a shot creator. He like expanded his game the older he got, where Covington is like shrunken his game. He's limited. And then like Crowder, I think is probably the most similar comp. Crowder is also like pitch and catch 3-and-D guy,
Yeah.
but he he creates his own shot more times than not, like when he needs to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Covington has like that ability to expand his offensive game, but then Covington gets a crap ton of blocks for like his size.
I
Like
feel
especially his
like
time in Houston, I think he's
oh
jacked
yeah.
for like his defensive
I I
versatility.
think he's just never had to create his own shot really because he was playing with Harden and it was just like all right cool I'm right here he passes me the ball and now he's playing with like Dame and CJ and it's just like I'm gonna be open and I don't
Yeah.
really need to take over and now they have Powell on the Blazers, so he literally is never gonna have to try to create his own shot because it's just gonna be like, yeah, it's just like,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, cool, Covington's gonna like Covington has the ball. Was like, no, but where's Dame and where's CJ? Where's Powell? Like, where is everybody? I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And then there's just I mean, he's just gonna fit that mold. I like it, Dave. Don't listen to Lucas and his doubting. So, Mr. McLean,
Mr.
who's
Hater.
Mr. Hater, hate on that. Who's your power forward?
I'm going to give you a player that is so underrated. It's almost insulting. Okay. So
Gonna be a
it's
player in the Suns of calling it.
it's Dario Saric.
Oh, I
Wow.
know.
A lot of
But
Philly players here.
you don't even have to like. It's true. A lot of
A lot of
Philly
it.
guys.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a single thing about Dario Saric's game that he does poorly, except for being matched up against, like, if he has to go against the opposing team's starting big, is the only time he really shows his weakness, because that's when he gets bullied. He's a little bit smaller. He can't really play that great of defense in the post, but he only plays 18 minutes a game. This is the whole thing that blows my mind. He's a true six man, and he gets paid $7 million a year for 3 years. He signed
Wow.
a 3-year 21. Like, we're gonna have 26-year-old Dario Saric until he hits 29, 30 years old. Like,
That's $7
it's
million a year.
so perfect. It's so perfect.
Hate you.
Like, he shoots really well from three, 37%. He shoots 48% from the field. He shoots 90% from the free throw line. He gets assists, rebounds. Occasionally gets a steal. But, like, he does everything you want. And then, if you really need him, he's having a good game. You put him in at the starting four. You run with the starters at the four.
Yeah.
You can trust him as the backup center. And I think the biggest thing on why he's the most underrated, disrespected, I'm going to go with Stephen A. Disrespected player. He's not even in the top 20 for Sixth Man of the Year Bovada odds. Not even. You know who's number 2 behind Clarkson, who deserves it? Eric Gordon, who hasn't played a freaking minute in weeks, is number 2 in Sixth Man voting right now.
Like odds?
Yeah, for odds. For Sixth Man of the Year,
I don't
Dario Saric's not in the top 20. Somehow Derrick Rose is 19th. But Dario Saric is not even on the list. And second man, the second best odds dude is on the worst team in the league
and doesn't play.
Played a minute in 3 weeks. So I think it's crazy insulting. And it's not even like Hugh should be on that list, because he's an actual true six man. He plays less than 20 minutes a game, and he's putting up incredibly efficient stats on a top 3 team in the league.
You know how I feel about the Los Angeles Clippers award. It's not.
It really is the Los Angeles.
It's It's just like, it's all about scoring. It's all it's ever gonna be about. It's never about anything else than scoring. And then it's always guys who are playing 30 minutes a game. And you're like, all right, cool. This guy doesn't help. Like, he's not doing everything. He's just freaking putting up 18 a game. And he's...
Well, all that matters is that he does not start the game.
Someone the other day on Reddit was like, why isn't this guy in Sixth Man of the Year conversation? Who was it? I'm just blanking on the player's name, and then I looked and I was like, no crap, he started 20 games. No wonder he's not in Sixth Man of the Year voting. He started half his games. He's not a six man. Now, I had Dario before, and then I changed my mind because I knew you had Dario. So
super right.
See, yeah, I love Dario. I had Thaddeus Young.
Oh, so you know what's funny is between Covington, the next player that I was going back and forth was Thad Young.
He's just that, there's that one stat where he's like, him, LeBron, Jordan, Larry Bird are like the only guys that average like 13, 5, and 5 or something on some shooting percentage that the ESPN or TNT used to always blast every time he played. he just seems that kind of like we said a couple times tonight. He's like Swiss Army knives. And now that I'm thinking of this more, this is just 3D guys that we want on our team because my team doesn't have 3D guys. We just have Caldwell Pope. He's just fun. I love the Bulls. I don't watch them enough because they hurt me. It's just like the Hornets. The Hornets and the Bulls. I freaking bet on the Hornets tonight. They just lost by 40.
I think whenever
Every
I watch
person.
the Bulls, it's just disappointing because then you eventually have to watch the Bulls bench, and I don't want to watch Danny Diacono or Arch, whatever his last name is, Akono.
Archie Diacono.
Yeah, that
Archie
play
Goodwin?
backup point guard for 22 minutes a night. It's terrible. He's so bad. They got a bad bench.
You know,
Horrible bench.
Dave, you talked shit about the Pistons yesterday. They just beat the Wizards by 30.
Oh my
The Wizards are really bad.
Yeah, but how many assists did Westbrook get?
12.
Yes! We need more than 11 every single night.
Yeah.
How we win this.
No Harden tonight, too, so this is us sneaking our futures bets in that we love. I mean, Thad's not a great three-point shooter, and that's probably a big knock on him, but I feel like his defense is good, and he's just kind of like, I just like him. I don't know.
He creates his own shot
I've
very
like-
easily. I feel.
I've liked him since the Philly days. Another Philly guy. What are we doing? Why are
I
we just
think
in?
Phillies just have had everyone.
It's
To go
They had
back
so many
far
picks.
enough.
They have so many
You know what it
they had
is?
So many young guys at the time.
it's like Philly. All of Philly's like young players have spread out. It's like the Lakers players right now. They're just spreading out throughout the league. And it's like, oh yeah, this guy's kind of good. He's finally being something. It's all the Philly guys, and Philly's made a billion trades. Now, this next guy on my list is not really. We went through all the power forwards, right?
Yep.
Okay. This next guy on my list really isn't a center, but
Cheater.
he's kind of got a cool nickname, and it's Slow Mo,
Oh,
and it's Kyle Anderson, and he's just fun, man. He's not fast. He does weird.
definitely not
He
fast.
does weird stuff, and he seems to make the right decision like a lot of the times. And the Grizzlies trust him. I remember him getting that contract, and I was like, "Whoa, this is something." And I mean, it was an overpay, but it's kind of working out for him. He's like their second kind of ball handler,
Mm-hmm.
and he's just got a cool nickname, Slow Mo.
He's super awkward on the court, but it almost feels like when watching him that he's always playing like a pickup game, and he's always like the tallest kid.
Yeah,
Because he's always being guarded by a dude that's like 3 to 4 inches shorter than him, and he can always do like it is like the older brother playing pickup with the younger brother. Like you don't have to do anything proficient. You don't have to be technical. You don't have to be anything. You just kind of like awkwardly walk over your younger brother
Yeah.
and score. And that's how he plays basketball. Is he always finds like the best matchup for him, and then really awkwardly, no real finesse or anything, just bulldozes his way in. Like it's fun to watch him for sure. Cool.
Who
It's an
wants to go
interesting
next?
Spot. I don't know if I'd have him at any point at center, but you could.
No, it was So when I made the list, I didn't think of like at one for each. I was just kind of like, these are my 5. I also have a 6th guy, but it's okay.
Ooh.
It was more of like if you guys took one of my guys, I had a backup just in case. Keep the podcast fresh, you know. All right, who wants to go with their? I want to hear Dave. I don't even care, Lucas. I want to know Dave's.
Wow.
To round out this roster of doom, he said.
Miles Turner.
Miles
Ooh.
Turner. Now,
the person who probably should win Defensive Player of the Year.
ooh.
Oh, stop!
Did you see him get hit with that Hezzy last night? He went sent to the Shadow Realm. He had no idea with that jab step.
Oh, what about though? I can never pronounce his name. He's technically he's a 30-year-old rookie for the Nuggets. I just wrote about him. He's an amazing passer.
Bazo.
Yeah.
Bazo.
Did you see him truck through the Defensive Player of the Year? He went through Ben Simmons like he was like a 2-year-old.
Ben Ben just kind of looked and was like, I don't.
What just happened?
He's like, why did this just happen? He said after that he loved it. He's like, I love that kind of fire. Reminds me of, back in Australia.
But I'm I think that Miles Turner, if I think if the Celtics would have traded for Miles Turner, which I mean it was it's gonna go down as like the worst thing that the Celtics didn't do. I think that
One
like
of many.
he would be talked about so much more as like just an overall great player, not just like, oh, he's good on the defensive side, because he can shoot too.
It's gotten
He
better.
shoots, yeah, he shoots 48% from the field, and he's a center, so it's like, all right. But when you watch him and stuff, though, he's never really like in the paint, like on the block. He's always like near the elbow or out a little bit shooting,
Anthony
and he shoots
Davis.
33% from three on how many? He takes 4.5 a game. I mean, if you can have your center doing that, like that opens up so much.
Yeah. I
You
don't know.
just saw.
He's great. I think I would put him in the category of players that are going to end up getting paid way too much. Like, and I wouldn't want on my team. Like, I wouldn't want my team to have the responsibility of deciding to pay him or not because my team would end up paying him. But he is a really great guy because I know him personally. So
Me and Miles, we go way back.
we go way back. But
We
like,
go.
so I haven't seen this because I haven't watched a ton of Pacers games because I don't live in the middle of nowhere. So
I mean,
my
you kind of do.
Yeah. So what are you talking about? We all three of us live in the middle of nowhere.
I live
I
in a cultured area. All
I
right.
live in a cultured area.
Oh.
It's a tourist destination. Thank you.
Okay.
Anyway,
Anyway,
what would your rebuttal be of people saying that Turner is just hunting for blocks to get the award, and he's doing the old SWAT at everything trick that Jaron Jackson does, but he's really bad at it because he ends up getting kicked out of games for
Who?
like I don't know.
the
He
guy
hasn't
who
played
doesn't
in
play basketball
years.
anymore.
Wait,
But
The
who?
guy who I
like
said was going to win most improved.
Yeah,
that
Dave. He's coming back.
Oh, finally.
Yeah, end of April. He'll be ready to play this basketball season in May.
Remember when it was just the first 2 or 3 weeks he was going to miss?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
May. Remember when you said you wouldn't trade him for Bradley Beal? I remember. It wasn't a real
I
trade.
still love Jaron Jackson Jr., but whatever. We can keep going.
see, I know. I think he's great. I think Turner's a good player. I think his defense is great, but I don't think he's at a defensive player of the year level because I think he is probably hunting blocks a little bit
Would
too
you say
much.
it's Hassan Whiteside-ish?
No, because
Hassan,
I think Turner's better at, like,
I would put him above Whiteside for sure, but I think
yeah,
there
I
is a
agree.
little bit
Wait,
of
yeah.
Whiteside swinging at everything. Like, and you heard it last year too. Like he starts every single season with the goal of leading the league in blocks the past 2 years. So to
I
me, that's a
almost,
red flag.
and I almost don't hate it though because, like, as like a fan, it's so much fun watching shit get
Yeah,
blocked. Like,
yeah,
and it's the funniest thing. I feel like if NBA players were like told like, do not hit it out of bounds. Like when you block somebody, just hit it straight up or like hit it like whatever. I feel or try to catch it. I feel like most of them could probably do that like 80% of the time. But that's not even close as fun as watching someone go up and having their shit get sent to like the third row.
those
I
like Dwight highlights of the ball just
Hmm.
volleyballing across the.
Yep.
even though that pisses off Bill Russell so bad.
Yeah,
Well,
It's a
yeah,
he's like it's a wasted possession. Why would you do that? It's you don't get the ball back. You give them the ball back. So I have a question for the Miles Turner Defensive Player of the Year voting. What level defense do you need? Like your team has to be top 5, right? The top 5 defensive team to win.
I would say I don't know if I would throw a number on it, but I would say your team has to be in the top of.
the league.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'd go defensive. Would you do like points allowed? Because I honestly feel like it should be closer to a points allowed award. Like that's why I think Gobert won it in the past was not even just his blocks, but it was the Jazz only allowed 105 points a game compared to like league average, which is like 113. Like I almost feel like you have to be better than league average at giving up points.
I think so. I agree with that, but at the same time, though, I think it has to be more defensive rating than a points allowed because if you play at a super slow tempo on offense, it's just natural that on the defense you're going to give up less points because there's less time on the clock for the other team to score and stuff. So like you could like you can manipulate how many points are scored, and I feel like with defensive rating, it's harder to manipulate.
Okay.
So the Pacers are 20th in points allowed.
What is their defensive rating?
Their defensive rating is 13th.
That's above average compared to below average. Yeah.
Do you know who's 12th though? The Clippers.
Oh.
Really? Well, they don't have. See, that's the thing. They don't have a big.
They don't.
They're supposed to have Ibaka, I guess, but he's old. So
Yeah, he's like 45.
Can we have a talk real quick?
What do you want? I
This
already know what you're gonna say.
this team's number 1. Your team's number 3, and your team's number 5.
wow.
We have 3 of the best 5 defenses in the NBA.
Well, this will be the first year that all 3 of us have teams in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So,
Well, hey, I don't know. Me and Lucas, me and you might make the playoffs. So LeBron and AD can't get back.
I don't know if you know this. I don't know if you watched. I know we lost, but I don't know if you watched Alex Caruso destroy Giannis. He might have to retire. Destroyed him.
At the end of the pod, I do want to talk about what we talked about the other night in Discord about the playing game, but that can wait until after.
Who do we have left? Lucas's 5th man.
Oh yeah, my center. My center is actually the first person I picked on this list because I was looking at. At first, I was thinking bench guys, then I was thinking starters, and then I kind of settled on both, I guess, or a guy you need in a pinch.
Mm-hmm.
I think Rashawn Holmes might be um, the most bang for your buck for sure. Like, so he's only making $5 million. It's a 1-year deal. So next year someone's gonna have to pay him, which sucks. But let's say if it was 3 years, 15 or something, right? So you got him for a little bit of an extended time. I think this guy would be at the trade deadline like the number 1 target. So he leads the league in field goal percentage at 65% from the field. He takes almost 10 shots a game, so that's really significant. It's not like DeAndre Jordan who would shoot like 4 on the Clippers.
And this is all dunks.
All dunks. Almost 2 blocks a game at 1.7. He's averaging 9 rebounds, so he's averaging 14 points, 9 rebounds, and almost 2 blocks a game. And he's only making $5 million a year. It's like and leading the league in field goal percentage. It's like if you need a hustle guy that's going to get you a crap ton of rebounds, he gets 3 offensive boards a game. So you're getting 3 extra possessions just by having Rashawn Holmes.
Yeah.
I don't know a single team that would say, no, I don't want the perfect, what are they called? Rim running centers.
Yeah.
He might be the perfect rim running center. He's cheap. He's young. He's incredibly efficient.
He's a much better Nerlens Noel.
He's what Nerlens Noel should have been. Like,
Can I add one thing to this guy?
Sure.
He's a Philly guy.
He's
a Philly guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. How many?
Imagine like
I think it's all of them. I think there's like 3 we haven't.
Imagine if the Celtics could get him because of how bad their center like rotation is and stuff. Like he would be ideal for the Celtics.
Yes, his nickname's Dunk Man.
Basketball references nicknames are just smoke crack.
I agree with that. I just think with the Celtics, I don't know what it is. They went so hard at this like small forwards, switchable players, and then what happened was Embiid, Jokic, and Anthony Davis happened, and it's like, cool, now you need someone to guard them, and they were like, nah, we're okay. it's like I 100% agree. Like Holmes would be awesome on the Celtics. I just don't know why they're not getting big men.
I think I have a conspiracy. Not a conspiracy, but I have a theory
Oh my god.
Jesus
about the Celtics.
Christ, that scared me.
I was flicking the pen, it hit my glass, and I caught it again. But I think what happened in the Celtics timeline is they gave up all of their leaders in the process. And I think it's hard to say Kyrie was a leader, but I think he was a
Very
guy
hard.
not like the entire organization banked on. And then all the young players at the time were like, well, we have Kyrie. Like, why is he not stepping up? Like, he should step up. We have the guy. Be the guy. You know, they were all like, it's your turn. But losing Horford, losing Hayward's trust really was probably all last season, being like, okay, I get that Brown and Tatum are stepping up, but like, I'm still really freaking good. And then now he's proving he was probably like at this point, I think you can argue that Hayward is he's probably
The,
shooting better than Tatum and he's better than Brown. And it's like, and now they came to the point that I don't think the Celtics were ready to get to so early on. Like I think Danny Ainge, the reason he was doing all this was he was postponing the prime, or like you guys need to step up with Brown and Tatum. And now they got to the point. Brown's defense is falling off.
he's
Tatum's
scoring, yeah.
shooting is falling off. Neither of them are leaders. Both of them are now gunners.
I
It's
mean,
like now we have two gunners. We have the worst version of the Clippers going on. So it's like, and no bigs. Like, and we
the,
made a culture move, a bad culture move to get Tristan Thompson, who doesn't want to be on the Celtics, who the entire team hates. Kemba's hurt.
I want them to buy
Tatum's
him
gonna
out
get
the
fired.
day before the day after
Right.
the buyout. Yeah, the day after. I mean, I don't want to do 2 straight weeks of just ripping into the Celtics, but I do have a question for someone on this podcast. It's Lucas.
Yeah.
You had Rashawn Holmes before.
Yeah, dum dums.
No, it had to happen.
Had to happen. Everything has to happen. Would you want him back instead of having Frank? Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think. See that
Frank's
that's
like a
one thing
weird
that
power
now we're
forward.
like, we're kind of screwed cap wise. The next year, we're basically running it back.
I mean,
Unless
you're
we
running
want to.
back in a top 3 seed in the West.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
pointless.
that's
Don't do it.
back.
You should go for the
That's like
play-in tournament. It's gonna be more fun down there. Trust
It's
me.
not a bad situation to be in, but
Perfect.
we don't have the luxury at all to add. Like we're not gonna be able to add another guy. Like we may just pray that Frank wants to come back at this point because we're gonna lose a bunch of dudes. But I'd like him back. The problem is like our value guys are Crowder and Tarek, and I don't want to have to trade one of them away to get enough cap space to get a dude like Rashawn Holmes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I would like Rashawn back right now. We should have signed him for a little bit more.
He's the kind of guy I would absolutely love instead of signing Andre Drummond. But I mean, it doesn't matter that we got Andre Drummond because he got hurt in like 10 minutes.
That's true. He got a big toe injury, right?
or big toe.
Oh, dude, I watched some videos of Shaq today, and then he showed his feet.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was bad.
Oh no.
It's got like no
I've seen those videos
toenails.
too. Mm-hmm.
Weird. It was a weird day for me. Do you guys want to hear who my 6th man was?
Sure.
All right, we'll hit this, and then we can talk about some whatever we want to talk about, and then we'll wrap up this podcast. He's on Brooklyn.
Go Harris.
No, I would love Joe Harris.
Oh, you just said
No,
Yeah,
Bruce Brown, my guy.
Pistons legend.
Pistons legend Bruce Brown. He even when we were gambling on Pistons games every other night last year, I just always loved this guy. He's an awful 3-point shooter, but he's so fun. I don't know why. He's in the perfect situation right now because he's like, no one's gonna guard me, and I can just slash all day. He's just fun.
He's not a guy that I want to get minutes in the playoffs, though.
No, yeah.
But regular season, it's like Xavier Henry.
No, you know who he reminds me of? Remember when the Pacers had Paul George, David West, Granger, Hibbert, and it was that series against the Heat, and they Sam Young. That's who I feel like.
Bro,
Man,
he was so
Bruce. I've
bad.
never hated an NBA player more. He
I
couldn't do
forgot all about Sam
anything.
Young.
And I almost feel like Bruce Brown in the playoffs will be Sam Young. Like, you're going to have a playoff series where the Nets are like, nobody's guarding this dude. He's wide open from three, but every time he shoots it, he's shooting like 15%. Like, I think he'll have a series where he shoots under 20, and the entire Nets team will just be demoralized for a few games that they
Yeah.
have like an Andre Robertson, Sam Young situation.
I
I mean,
I mean the way Blake's playing right now, I don't think we're gonna have to worry about the Bruce Brown playing clutch minutes.
and what LaMarcus Aldridge finished with? Because
Now they have a big man rotation, which is ridiculous.
It's yeah. I mean, so a lot of people are getting upset at each other about this buyout thing because they're like, "Oh well, the buyout market's never mattered," blah blah blah, and it has to a certain extent
every year it matters.
to a certain extent. I mean, most guys are like, they're washed, whatever. Um, this year just felt like it was a lot more big names, and I think that's why
Huge names.
huge names. I mean, Marcus is older. Like Blake, that the fact that they could buy out a contract that big is kind of the one to me. I was like, I mean, they saved themselves $13 million, so it's like you might as well. I don't want to harp on it too long, but I saw some people saying, what if they did the buyout market before the trade deadline?
I don't know how much that would.
I don't think
Yeah, I'm boat. Or I don't think it does anything different.
Maybe it would expedite the process. It would. I think I think it would be a short-term solution because it wouldn't give enough teams time to adjust to the new
because
rule, right?
if you if you sign them, you couldn't trade them or anything. You couldn't like
Right.
lease them real
You'd
quick.
have to keep them. But I think that may solve it in like the short term because I think at least the first season and the second season, you wouldn't have a front office that adjusted to it correctly. Like I think
Yeah,
you'd have like one or two teams that did it right, and then every other team would try to mimic it. I don't know if you'd have this situation. Like
I'm
Blake
just
Griffin and LaMarcus are such big names. They were top three. Like there was a time where LaMarcus and Blake Griffin were top three at the same time.
Lamarcus is one of the he was a top 10. I think it was top 10 scorer, top 10 like top 5 rebounder for a decade.
Yeah, no, it's really nuts. And my thing that really makes me upset is you go on like Reddit, you go on Twitter, and you just see guys being like, you know, 10 days ago you were saying these guys are washed, and then now they come to the Nets, and now they're good all of a sudden. I'm like, well, they were always
Good.
people that say that. I feel like are either totally ignoring context on purpose or they're just like really stupid. Like I wouldn't want LaMarcus Aldridge being my starting power forward taking 15 shots a game. That's bad, and at this stage in his career, he's washed to do that role. But if his role now is backup
I think
center
he's I think he's
for the
Back
starting.
Nets,
backup
well,
center and just feast on backup players
yeah,
like because he still has the offensive skills that has
Yeah.
always had. He's just not as good athletically and stuff. And like
It's
when your athleticism
35,
goes
yeah.
down, your you how like good you are offensively goes down. But he still has the IQ. He still has the same shot. Like it's not like I, I was I was in full out Twitter wars when it
it's just
happened
frustrating.
because I'm like no like well he's people are acting like he's Tim Duncan. I'm like I'm not acting like he's Tim Duncan, but he's an amazing player throughout his entire career. And when you're asking him, hey, 15 minutes a night, just go beat up on backups.
Yeah,
He can do that easily. Like he can do that.
he can torch backups.
I still
Hmm.
I mean to me like I think I said this to Lucas today. I think I'm more upset at the Blake one than I am the LaMarcus one. Because
Oh,
LaMarcus is like 35, so he is on the older end. Like it's a good fit for him. He even said he was gonna go to Miami, but they were on like a 7 game losing streak. He's like, am I really gonna sign with a team that like I could have just stayed with a team that's gonna make the playoffs and like as a 7th seed? Like why would I? go over here. Like I want to like take a good chance. The the Blake one gets me because so many people are like Blake is like exactly what you're saying. Blake's washed. Blake's bad. Blake's athletic, and it's all of a sudden he's now dunking every game, and he looks
Actually,
better. And it's because it's the whole thing. It's like you're in a bad situation and you just don't care. Like if you hate your job, are you trying hard every day?
um, with someone who has had 7 years of experience of that, the answer is no.
No, you're not. So it's like I'm not waking up every day to like, cool, I'm on the Pistons. No offense to the Pistons, but like I don't want to go out and play every day. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got other interests in life, but now he's like, cool, I'm hanging out with Kyrie and Durant and Harden every day. Like these are my bros. Like this is awesome, and he's
And
gonna play better.
and I feel like the 1 year where he did really go out and be like, no, like I'm a good basketball player and I can go and do this. Is he brought the Pistons to the playoffs, and then like the week before he got hurt because he was playing like 35 minutes a game.
He did everything. That is
That was an
like
insane
I
year.
was never a Blake Griffin fan. And then that season I felt like I was insufferable because this dude was single-handedly bringing the
Fortune.
Detroit Pistons
Mm-hmm.
to the playoffs, and he was doing everything. Like,
And they ended up in 8th seed and got either swept or genuinely swept by the Bucks.
yeah,
And it's
it
like,
was,
well, that was worth it. I got hurt in the process. Like I balled out, and we were still the 8th seed, and we got swept. And I got hurt because I was doing literally everything for the team.
He got
So like,
he got roasted on that Clippers trade. Like he got like just demolished emotionally.
it was blood. That's a bloody trade actually for Bomber, especially that being his first trade. Like,
remember how much money we made on Blake Griffin's first game against the Clippers?
I don't.
did we make money?
Yeah,
We
because
bet the over, right?
it was me and you, Lucas, that watched
Yeah,
it, and we bet the over, and we were pissed that we didn't bet the Blake total over.
yeah. I remember that now. I don't know. Yeah, I guess to end my last point on the net is that it really kills me now that their biggest weak point was they didn't have a big man rotation. And now their big man rotation is DeAndre Jordan, Blake Griffin, and LaMarcus Aldridge. And I know they're well past their prime, but that's Lob City's starting two big men. And then at the time of Lob City, a top three power forward in the league. And
And
it just
like,
killed me.
and the way I think about it is okay. So that's their rotation, and it's like, well, it's not 2012 anymore. Those players aren't that good. Yeah, I agree. Like, they aren't as good if you're asking them to play 30, 32 minutes a game. But if you're asking Blake to do, let's do Blake 15 or 18 minutes a night. You do LaMarcus 12 minutes a night, and then you do uh 12 minutes of Jordan. Like the three of them cut up like that, like that's a great
DeAndre didn't.
rotation.
DeAndre Jordan didn't play tonight. Lamarcus played 30 minutes tonight.
Blake didn't play tonight.
Blake didn't play.
You just wait till the playoffs. Like,
11,
What it's
11 points, 9 boards, 6 assists for Lamarcus, and is thrashing of my gambling bet on the Hornets. I don't know why I thought the Hornets were great to come back on.
that's the other thing that sucks. They're supposed like
They don't have their
there's
death
only
lineup
two
out.
there's only two teams though that in the East that can fight that you'd feel like that can fight, and I feel like once Miami gets to the playoffs, they're either gonna totally bust or they're gonna be what they were last year but better because they have all the Depot. But like the Bucks and Philly are the only teams that are
I,
even remotely going to compete. And now the problem is you didn't have a guy to throw it, and now you have three bodies to throw it in
it's
bead. It just sucks.
it's so to me it's like they haven't even put the trio has played 7 games this season together, and it's just like you take Kyrie, Harden, Joe Harris, who's having the most efficient 3-point shooting season on like 6 shot attempts a game. He's shooting literally 50% from 3.
Mm-hmm.
Durant, and then you go Blake Griffin, LaMarcus Aldridge, DeAndre Jordan, or Bruce Brown or Jeff Green if you want to go small. It's that it. I mean, I don't know if no one can outgun that. And I know it's like, oh, defense ball, it gets tighter. But like, I mean, I've harped on this before, and I think it would have to be like this ultimate Philly squad. I don't trust the Bucks. I honestly, I know Miami's struggling right now. I think I'd give Miami the next best shot. I think if
I
they,
just want Jimmy to go nuclear. Jimmy be like, I'm going to play 41 minutes tonight, and I am going to make your life living hell, Harden.
but I just think the Heat, if they get healthy, they're all together. Like the Tyler Hero, Dragic, Oladipo, Jimmy Butler,
So deep.
Felicia,
The rest of them.
Bam, Duncan Robinson. Like everything just seems like that team is like a cool little like. If the Nets had to match up against the Heat in the first round, like that in my head is a 7-game series.
Yeah, that I wouldn't like that if I was the Nets. Like I'd be like, this is the one team that we shouldn't have to fight day one.
And
Like I don't,
it's probably not
it's
going to
the
happen, but
Clippers thing actually of last year. Like I think the Clippers struggled in the playoffs. In like another factor is they didn't have a lot of playing time within Kawhi and Paul George. Like
yeah,
they were alternating off and on, and that might just be this in the playoffs too. Like it's right, the big three haven't had a lot of time to mesh. Maybe that'll
my only
actually be
fear
a
is
problem.
like my only thing is like Harden's such a good facilitator, and they're just all so like it's. I just feel like it's different. Like they're more fluid.
I think the last time we saw Kyrie in the playoffs, I think is a scary indicator of like worst case scenario. Like
Because he was
I think
bad.
I think
Well,
there
he's
is a
guarding
scenario in
Giannis.
which Kyrie is bad this playoffs, and Harden can be. I don't think Harden's going to be Harden of previous years because I think Harden specifically wanted to go to the Nets not just because it was probably the easiest route, but I think he didn't want to be the offensive workhorse anymore,
No,
like
I don't think
for
so.
scoring. So like if Kyrie, this got to be the timeline. Kyrie's bad. Kyrie overshoots. He doesn't have to be bad. Kyrie overshoots. Harden plays too much of a point guard role. Doesn't try to go for scoring. He's trying to facilitate. And then the entire team is just banking on Kevin Durant to save them.
Yeah,
And then
And like Blake, LaMarcus,
are
Jordan, one
are
of them
bad.
gets hurt.
Yep.
Like,
Which is a real concern with these older guys. But Blake again, I mean, I was gonna say Blake's not old enough to worry about injuries, but he's clearly injury prone. So
yeah.
oh, I
do
forgot
you want
about
me?
Trevor Ariza
I hate Trevor.
playing better than Oladipo right now. They're up 8 on the Warriors. I
Suns Heat finals. Lock it in.
that the NBA wouldn't like that.
Yeah, then be like, nope.
Yeah, but they would like a Chris Paul championship. So I don't know. I think we've got a little bit of rigging on our side. If there's a rigging scale for the NBA, I think legacy wise, the NBA would love to give Chris Paul a championship.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going with.
It's a good
That's what I'm going
story.
with. Yeah,
Good
yeah, it's
story.
a really good. The point guard beating the unstoppable Nets seems like the best story I've
All I
ever
know
heard.
is the frauds are up 8 on the Clippers right now.
Oh my god, is that the game? Oh, I gotta
Yeah,
watch this game.
yeah, that's the game tonight.
Go frauds. Oh, the Nuggets.
Got him.
Still early. First quarter, halfway through.
I said that when I placed my second bet on the Hornets today.
Oh,
Um,
you're betting money on the Hornets.
yeah, that's my team. They made me thousands of dollars last year. I lost it all, but it's fine. Anything else you guys want to get into? We're looking at it's an hour and a half on this podcast. Um,
I was just gonna say about the possibility, which would be my dream, would be to go and have the Lakers fall to 7 and to play the Warriors in the playing game. We talked about it a little bit
so
the other night when we were just all talking, and oh my god, would I love that.
so the problem with that is it's 7 versus 8. So say the Lakers fell to 7,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, of the okay, so there's 4 teams who are like right on that cusp: Spurs, Warriors, Grizzlies, Kings. Spurs, I don't know. They're just playing at 500. They're just
Yeah,
playing
I
like
wouldn't be like I'm not afraid of the Spurs. If I was a
yes,
good team that fell because of injury or something, I wouldn't be afraid of the Spurs.
but if they stay at the 8th seed, that is so perfect for the Lakers because we'll destroy them, and then we'll be the 7th seed. We'll be fine, and then they would have to play between the Warriors and the Grizzlies. And I don't know if the Warriors are that much better than the Grizzlies. If they're
I
better than.
just the playing tournament could be super fun. Where if they had a team like the Warriors who like they have injury stuff, like they lost some players, whatever, but they still kind of have the core of the team that was like the dynasty. It's like maybe this team can go on that run again for one night, kind of thing. And I think that's kind of like the March Madness vibe and stuff like that.
It's just I'm looking at so they're playing the Heat right now.
I mean, they're not good. I'm not gonna say that.
So Curry's got 33 points.
Yeah, he's good.
His plus minus is 0.
Yeah,
Like it I mean Wiseman isn't good. Like
yeah.
Oubre is like I don't think this
It,
Warriors team is going to I don't even know they might make the play in tournament. I think they might slip. I don't know.
I
I wouldn't put money on them making the play in tournament.
I
If you
think
have
Steph is so good that
he is really good. The rest of his team is not.
yeah, I know, but I feel like having a player like Steph will go and have you have a chance at least.
You give them a chance, but I don't know if they're gonna. I don't know if they're even gonna make it there.
Yeah,
And
that's all
they don't care.
I just I just want to be just if we could get where like the playing tournament is like superstar versus superstar and like the
Oh, it'd be
old
amazing.
Warriors dynasty versus like LeBron and AD and stuff like that because of injuries and that's why they fell. That would be so much fun.
It would be. It would be fun. It'd be probably the highest rating it will ever get to if
Hmm.
it was LeBron versus Steph.
Yeah, one game winner goes home, like or loser goes home.
I've trust me. I've looked at the Lakers schedule enough that I'm like, oh my god, we're gonna lose. The fact that
I
we've even taken,
actually,
the fact that we've taken 2 games is 2 more than I thought we were gonna win.
I'm just deathly afraid of the Knicks getting into like falling to the playoff playing game because my mental health for that day would be god awful. I would be so stressed out watching the game. I wouldn't even want to watch.
Yeah, you guys are you need to turn on the Jets. It's tight.
Yeah, the T Wolves loss really hurt last night.
Yeah, you guys are tied with Miami right now, and you're half game
Hmm.
back of 4. It is fun. The four through 8 is fun because it's all teams like, I mean the Knicks are just put in there, and the Hornets, so we didn't expect them to be that high, but yeah, this could be a fun little Eastern Conference. I mean the Nets are just gonna smother whoever's the 8th seed. I would love the Celtics to be the 8th seed though. That'd be the highest scoring, or the Hawks. Give me that.
Oh my god, the over would be set for like 300 points.
295 for the over under.
At the end of the score is it's 160 to 141.
I can see it. And the Nets are just like, we should have got 180, but we actually benched KD and Kyrie at the half. They're just,
Yeah.
I don't know how we kept scoring, but Harden has 55 and 20. So I think until next time, we'll wrap it up here. We'll probably get a little bit more, where I'm going to go watch this Clippers Nuggets game because I'm just going to just revel in how good the Nuggets are. I love the Nuggets. It's because my team's dog water.
I think about the Nuggets.
Thank you all so much for joining us today. Make sure you're liking our Twitter, our Instagram. Gonna get better at doing that because I am gonna be unemployed in 2 days. Um,
Hey, join the crowd.
Twitter Nightcap NBA, Instagram NBA Nightcap. Thank you again for joining us from Nick, Lucas, and Dave. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. Make sure you're following us. Have a great rest of your night.